Friends and family, thank you so much for joining Every Day is a Saturday with your host, me, myself, and I, Brian Roof. Hey guys, I got another great show, got a good interview ahead of us. I can't wait for you guys to hear this one. Before we get started, I just want to kind of, make sure that we're doing a little bit of a mental health check on everybody out there. Make sure, you're checking on your friends, your family, making sure everybody out there is doing okay. And if you don't feel like talking to a friend or a family, know there's numbers out there that you can call, which is 988, and you press 1. They'll put you in touch with someone that can help you. I know that there's a lot of stories out there of veterans who were faced with some really hard mental health issues. They called the number and they got the help that was necessary and needed and in abundance, and the community got behind it all. So it is really great. So if you need it, or if you even know someone that needs it, make sure you spread the word that 988 is the number, and all you got to do is press 1. But all right, let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my next guest. Let me go ahead and get this. My next guest is retired from the United States Marines after serving from 1993 to 2013. He started off on the enlisted side and was a jet engine mechanic. Then he decided to become an officer and a pilot. Now he's leading and forming the future generation as a junior ROTC instructor. I'm excited to introduce Mr. Dean Krom. What's going on, man? Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Welcome
man.
to the show. I am excited to have you on, and we're excited to get to meet Mr. Dean Krom. So go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, like, why you joined the Marines. Tell us a little bit about your Marine Corps career and what you got going on now.
Outstanding. Well, first, thanks for having me. I love to tell my story. It's nothing super exciting, but I'm very blessed, and I want everybody to know that this, if some little guy from South Dakota that was making some bad choices as a young man can do what I've done, you can too. And there's a lot of people out there that I hope they really consider the military as an option. There's no bad service. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards one, but hey, there's no bad service. But my story is this, man. I grew up in a little town in South Dakota. We didn't have any ROTC. We didn't have anything there. I knew that I needed to join the military just simply because my sister was going to go to college. She's 1 year younger than me, and my parents couldn't afford it. So I decided pretty quickly that I wanted to give the Marine Corps a shot. A good friend of mine, JJ Seuss, he's out there. He was in my hometown. We decided to go in on the buddy system, and we left South Dakota together, and the rest is history. But yeah, I embarked upon my 20-year career, and it was truly amazing. So I left South Dakota right out of high school, went into the Marine Corps, and ended up being stationed out in Tustin, California. So Tustin's now closed, as you know, but I was working on the CH-53, working on the jet engines on that at the time. So great opportunity. Loved every minute of it. California was an eye-opener for me coming from South Dakota, but I enjoyed every minute of it. So
that's one of the hardest jobs in the Marine Corps is being an air winger.
It's hey, I wouldn't say it's the hardest, but I will say that we definitely put in the time. The hours is, you got to put in the time, and I get it. They're all hard in their own right, but it isn't physically demanding. But the hours and the time that you put in is really the hard part. But yeah, I loved the wing. I was fortunate enough after serving there at Tustin, I did a Westpac, got to go to Okinawa, came back, got to go do Operation Southern Watch in the Persian Gulf, and got to do some cool stuff. I was flying as a door gunner and got to meet a bunch of great people that way. Then I got back to California and got selected to go to HMX, the Presidential Squadron. So again, I was blessed. Went out to HMX and served there from 96 to 99. And at that point, I'm hitting my 6-year mark in the Marine Corps, and I'm thinking I'm going to get out because I haven't done much college yet. And kind of a long story, but it just so happened that my recruiter from South Dakota and the sergeant major of HMX were good buddies, and my recruiter was in town, and he said, "Hey, do you still have Sergeant Krom?" And my sergeant major said, "Yeah, he's on the green side. He works down there." He said, "Can you call him up here?" They called me up and asked me what my plans were, and I told them I was getting out. And they said, "Well, you should really consider this MECEP program." And I said, I love you too, and I trust you more than anything in the world, but I would have to re-enlist to find out if I got accepted. And I don't know if I'm competitive enough. "Oh, you're competitive, do it." I said, "Gentlemen, I can't, I'm sorry." They said, "Well, what if we get you an interview with the gentleman that's in charge of the board?" I think they were all bluffing me anyhow. But anyhow, they took me up there, let me meet him. I got a bunch of great letters from the CO at HMX, which probably doesn't hurt, and a bunch of people.
Awesome.
So fortunately for me, I went out on a limb, and I got selected for the MECEP program. So, man, I'm very, very proud and honored to make that transition from enlisted to officer and go out and represent. And I tell you, I went as hard as I could and tried to make.
What rank did you say you were? What rank were you at this time when you decided to go ahead and make that switch?
Well, I officially made it to staff sergeant, but I was a sergeant for most of my time. I made it to staff sergeant while I was in MECEP, so it's really kind of non-competitive, but most of my time was as a sergeant. So I love it because I believe that was probably the best rank in the Marine Corps anyhow. Sergeants were awesome. And then I got to spend the other large portion of my time as a captain in the Marine Corps, and there's no better rank than captain, so you're not up in the field grade doing that, and you're not down in the trenches. So it's, like I said, I'm just blessed. But fortunately for me, I got that officer transition, and like I said, I wanted to go out there and just do the best that I could and take care of the Marines like I knew they should be, like I would have wanted, and I felt like I did that every day. I got lucky enough to come back and fly the same helicopters I was working on. So at HMX, I got to work on the 46 and the 53. I got to work on both jet engines and swash plate flight controls and blades and all that stuff. So when it came time to go to flight school, I knew that I wanted to fly helicopters because I wanted to be with the Marines. I wanted something with wheels on it. I didn't want skids. I wanted something with wheels and somewhere I could put Marines in the back. And fortunately for me, I got 46s and ended up over in Okinawa, Japan. So I was newly married, loaded up, took the wife over to Okinawa. We had our first child over there.
Oh, wow.
My daughter, Darren, she is now 15 years old, going to turn 16 here soon. And had a great time over there, but it's kind of that almost a survivor's guilt because I was in during 9/11. I was in the MECEP program at my college, so there was no chance of me going anywhere or doing anything. And then going through flight training and everything, and the war's going on, and all your buddies are over there. Made it pretty tough, and then it really got hard when I got deployed to Okinawa because now we're on the tip of the spear per se, but in the Pacific, and they weren't deploying over to Iraq or Afghanistan at the time. And then a real good friend of mine was the first one to get shot down in a CH-46. And he was flying with she was an instructor pilot, and he was amazing. He was a far better pilot than I ever was. And he got caught up in a little sand bush. They turned him with some small arms fire and got a rear aspect shot and killed him.
Damn.
So that was, it was rough, but that's what we signed up for. And he was a great man. And I never did get a shot to go over to Iraq or Afghanistan, so I don't know if that was a blessing or a curse. But I flew in Okinawa, and we got to do, like I said, a lot of counterinsurgency. And again, I'm blessed. We did a lot of stuff off the ship, so we're on 31st MU, all over the Philippines, Thailand, Korea, down in Australia. We went into Cambodia. Just got to do amazing things, and then from there, I was done with Okinawa. I was done deploying all the time. My daughter was a couple years old. She had no idea who I was because I was gone all the time. So it was kind of rough. And then, so I made a decision to get out of the cockpit, and I applied for another board selected position, and I applied for the Marine Officer Instructor. And fortunately, I got it. I don't know how. It's a competitive field, again, going against a bunch of captains and majors in the Marine Corps that want to go teach at a college. And I got lucky and got my first choice and started teaching over in Daytona Beach, Florida. And I actually, awesome. I finished out my career there. And I jumped in 100% to make sure that I did, the best I could. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I can work. I'm a hard worker, and put a lot of effort into those kids. I have a lot of really, really outstanding Marines that are doing well. They've outranked me now, the ones that I commissioned and sent on. So it's awesome to see that. And then, from there, I retired out of there. And we went to my wife's hometown in Texas, a little bitty town out there called Beckville, 400 people. She worked in the school. Town. Yeah, a little bitty town. She worked in the school, and I decided to try a shot at the oil field. I got a great job, had my own oil field section, and was in charge of production. But I just didn't enjoy it. They don't take care of their people like the Marine Corps. They're corrupt. Everybody's trying to buy you, buy their work. It just wasn't what I was looking for. The town was just too small. It wasn't as active. I felt like I was limiting my kids. So me and my wife, after about a year, made a decision to, hey, let's apply for this job being a JROTC instructor, which is something that I always thought about. So I got certified right away. And I came back. I got fortunate enough to get a job in Punta Gorda, Florida, at a Navy school. And I started working there and really, really, really enjoyed it. It's almost like it's almost a calling, because nobody wants to teach high school kids, really. I mean, maybe some do. It's tough. Yeah. It's really challenging. They don't understand us. They don't care who you are or what you have on your collars or what you have on your chest. All they care about is the person you are, and that you back up your word. And so it was rough at first, but it was very, very rewarding, because you get a full spectrum of kids. You get kids that are literally low functioning on the spectrum to kids that are genius, and you have to teach them all the same. So I loved the challenge. It was amazing. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was doing extremely well at my first school. Things were going right. But in my hometown, I was commuting. In my hometown, the Marine Corps JROTC program came available, and I applied for it. And again, very fortunately for me, I got the job, and I've been here for 7 years. And I'm going to stick it out until my son, who is a 7th grader, till he gets through high school, and then we'll see from there what happens. But like I said, just a very, very blessed career. And now I'm getting to wear the uniform. I'm getting to influence kids and do the stuff that it's kind of like paying it back. Because again, I was making some poor choices, and even in the Marine Corps making some poor choices, but I had good leadership all the time. And that's all I want to do for these kids. I just want to give them a little bit of grit, a little bit of mental toughness, the discipline, all of those things that we'll talk about, leadership principles and traits. We can talk about that all day long, but I just want them to be an asset to society. I don't want them to be a detraction. We got too many people that are sucking the life out of our country. Right?
Absolutely.
I need people that want to contribute and know what it means. I mean, when they say the national anthem or they hear the pledge, they get goosebumps because they're proud, right? And they may not ever serve, but we spend a lot of time in my class learning why Marines are the way they are, because it's different.
Right.
It's different here. It's just different. And
so kind of run us through your program and how it works, and what do you guys do, and like what does it change from freshman to senior year, or how does that whole thing work?
It's a great program. It's not a recruiting program. All right. I like to say that because it's a misunderstood program. We're not trying to make steely-eyed killers here. We're training them to be better citizens. And that is the mission of the program. So here's how it works. We have 4 different curriculums provided by Headquarters Marine Corps. So we teach the first year kids the certain curriculum, and second, third, and fourth. And as you go up in years, as you get to be a junior and senior, I get some more flexibility to teach you some of the things that I feel like you should know before you go out into the world. Again, I want to make sure that if you've been with me for 4 years, that I'm sending out a polished gem that's going to go out there and be successful and represent. And it's oftentimes hard, but again, it's very rewarding. Anybody can join. It's an elective. All right. In my school, we follow a traditional schedule. So we have 8 periods. So it's just one of the periods they come to every day. So we get to see the kids every day, and it's awesome. I'm in a big school. We're about 2,500 students. And the Marine Corps says you have to have 100 students or 10% of the population, whichever is less, just to make sure the Marine Corps is getting all the juice for the squeeze, right? They want to make sure they're influencing people. So we have a little over 100 students, which is right where I want to be, because I really want to establish the quality over quantity first. And we're getting that. We're getting really good quality kids. So we're doing well with that. Now, the standard week looks like this. Mondays, they get out and get some PT. You name it, we do it. Anything we've done in the Marine Corps, we try to get out and do. It's a lot of fun. It teaches the kids how to get out of their comfort zone. When they bump up to a little bit of discomfort, they want to stop. But over time and constant pressure, we can push them beyond that and really show them their potential, which is so rewarding to see them when they finally get it, that like, hey, I can embrace the pain a little bit.
Like, I can do this.
I can learn to love it. Yeah. Because the kids are a little soft these days. So that's our Mondays. Tuesdays, we're in the classroom learning everything you could think of. The LE1 or LE2, that's our beginning freshman, sophomore classes. Master Guns Troxel is my assistant Marine instructor. He's awesome. He's in the Marine Corps for 27 years, and he's as old and crotchety as they come, but he's the kids love him. He's a great teacher. And behind any great program, as we all know, there's a great enlisted, and he is that for me. So he teaches the freshmen, sophomores, and I teach the juniors and seniors. So we kind of split it up. And then Wednesday, we wear uniforms. We go out and do drill. We do, you name it, inspections pretty much every day. So they get issued the utility uniform, the MARPAT. So something I take very serious. It's really difficult because I lose a lot of good kids because they don't want to get a haircut, right?
Yeah.
But in order to put them in our uniform,
right,
the one that Marines are fighting and dying in, they got to be within regs. So it's tough, but we have, again, the kids get on board when they see what the value is and they see the pride that's associated with the program and everything. They get on board. We wear that uniform. Wednesdays, sometimes their sophomore year, they'll get Charlies. Junior year, they're going to get their Deltas. And then senior years, they're going to have their blues. And anybody who does color guard get their blues early. And, everybody wants to get in the blues as quick as possible. So That's fun because now I didn't realize I was going to be a tailor and a seamstress and all that other stuff too on this job, because they're growing like weeds, and keep them in uniform and try to keep them to our standards is difficult, but again, blessed. That's Wednesday. Wednesday's a good day. We do our promotions and all that stuff on Wednesday. And I'll tell you, you know what? We do a lot of drill, and we don't have a drill team because we go a different route. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But I have kids that could drill with any active duty Marine right now. They're that good. They're really good. So it's a lot of fun watching them get to that point. And then Thursdays back in the classroom for some more academics, whatever the syllabus states that we gotta cover. There's some classes Headquarters Marine Corps says we have to do. And then on Friday, we're back to PT. So that's a standard week. Now, here's where it gets interesting is, after school, the beginning of the year, Master Guns teaches air rifle. They're shooting every day of the week after school. They have to. In order to be competitive, you got to shoot every day. They're shooting little air rifles in the classroom, but it's a little tiny circle, and it's a great skill set. It teaches focus, it teaches repetition, it teaches all of the things that make you successful in the classroom on the range. So we find that there's a direct correlation between grades and how well they shoot. So Master Guns has got a good stacked team. But unfortunately, our classroom can only handle about 10 lanes. So I lose Master Guns to focus on these 10 individuals, 4 or 5 days a week for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours of shooting. While I'm outside, where I take what I call the outdoor dogs. His are the indoor dogs. They like the AC, but mine are the outdoor. We like the PT. We like to sweat. We like to get uncomfortable. And
You're like the junior hat, and he's like the senior.
It works out really well that way, to be honest. But at the same time, what we both try to do is take everything we learned in the Marine Corps, and of course, he was a drill instructor, and he's got all kinds of experience, and kind of use that to help us influence these kids. Like I said, we're not making basically trained Marines. We're making citizens. We're making kids that are out there to make good choices, men and women of exemplary character. Those are the terms that we're using. Using sir and ma'am and holding the door and not walking over a piece of trash, and being the one that, is saying, hey, let's not do this right now. They're not the ones that are jumping in with their phone, videoing the fight. They're not the ones instigating, and that's what we train. Just again, to be a team player. So the why is this a great job? It's awesome because when I first took over as the senior naval science instructor at Charlotte High School, I had every student that I was teaching write me a letter, what you think I should know about you. And I will tell you that once the umbrella of the Marine Corps was lifted off of me and I got to see what was happening in everyday life in their lives, I was traumatized. I had no idea the amount of abuse, poverty, drugs, alcoholism, you name it. I really had no idea that it was as bad as it is. And these kids, a lot of them were dealing with it. So it took a lot of change in me to try to understand what they're going through, because it was easy to get frustrated when kids don't show up to school. But then when you find out that, hey, their mother's on life support and their dad's a drug addict, they don't got anybody looking out for them. I'm lucky I get them to school 3 times a week. Yeah. So you really learn what's going on in the world that we were kind of sheltered from in the Marine Corps, or at least I was. But again, we have a lot of tools to help us, in the Marine Corps. You learn all these tools that you have available to you. And boy, I think I increased the school's workload significantly once I got on board and started learning about these kids that need help, and they can't do it on their own. They're kids, and that's the rewarding part,
And that's good though, because I mean the kids do spend a large portion of their day at school, so it is good to go to be a place and make it feel like a safe place or a place that they could actually deal with things. Sometimes at home they can't. So that's
Yeah.
great that you guys are giving them another avenue and things of that nature. And when it comes to the academic stuff, like what kind of academic stuff are you guys teaching? Is it Marine Corps history or is it more other like more educational type stuff?
Yeah, so in the beginning, they're going to learn the basic Marine Corps history. They're going to learn a little bit about a healthy lifestyle, lifting weights. They're going to learn about, they have some old stuff in there like Corporal of the Guard. They have some classes about what else? What other classes they've got? Master Guns teaches NJP. You'll go through all of that. His are the basic, Marine Corps style classes. As you get into the LE2, it gets a little bit more advanced. We're going to get into some leadership stuff. And then LE3, I get to open it up. There are very few classes that the Marine Corps mandates that I teach. So that's where you get to be a little creative. You can bring in, Boyd's cycle, and we talk about OODA loop. We talk about operational risk management, stuff that they can use in their civilian life, or they can use if they go into the military, and it's going to make them a rock star when they show in and they can do a risk assessment worksheet and make an inherently unsafe environment safer. We go through stuff like changing tires on a car, just simply so that you know how to do it safely.
Yeah.
I'll get them in there and we'll change out a dead battery. We'll talk about the alternator and we'll talk about the radiator and how to, what happens when your car tires are out of balance. What does that do? That bouncing over time. And I use this analogy to their life. If you're not well-rounded and you aren't, well-read and you aren't financially sound and you're not a good communicator and you're not physically fit, if you're not well-rounded, you got a flat spot in your life, you're going to bounce. Just like that tire on the car, when it's out of balance, it bounces. And over time, that bouncing just wears out parts. And eventually, it's going to fail catastrophically, right? And it's just what happens in their life when they don't fix their flat spots. So we get into that. We talk about cars a lot. Hey, we've sewn up some things. We sew buttons on. We get to bring in attorneys. We get to bring in the guys that do taxes, come in and talk to us about taxes. My kids understand taxes and what it means to do a standard deduction and what it means to itemize. They get it. They understand that, hey, they got a large portion of their check's going to go to the man. And how does that work? What is that W-4 all about? So it's fun. It's fun. I get to bring in insurance agents. I want them to understand what insurance does for you, your family. Let's say your family's got a bare minimum car insurance and you get out there and you're messing around up in Sarasota, where all the rich people live, and you run into a Maserati or who knows what you could see up there. You run into that and you injure somebody. Hopefully your parents have good insurance. Otherwise they're coming after you. Getting the kids to understand the stuff that nobody else tells you. That's what
there's a lot of value there. I mean, that stuff's just not taught in schools this day and age. And, when all of a sudden you turn 18, you're expected to know a lot of these things right off jump, so it's great, man. This is it's good for the future of some of these kids. And I wish a lot more schools would jump on board with these type of things and give this opportunity to a lot more of the kids. Cause I think we get so just stuck on like, education. We forget that a large population of these kids won't continue their education and they're going to go live another life. So we got to prepare them the best we can. Right. That there's beyond education in this world. There's just so much more to it than learning 2 + 2 = 4.
Brian, you're so right. Again, we stress this too. Hey, everybody forgets about the part of high school that is really valuable. And it's not just the academics, like you said, it's the relationships that you have to deal with, your boyfriends or girlfriends. It's the teachers that you like or you don't like. It's the administrators that, are giving you a hard time. It's the whatever team you got put with to do this homework assignment. They don't all work well together. Those are the real life issues that you got to deal with, and they got to learn how to deal with, and
Right, because the
that's the fun part.
translation there goes like you just said, the boyfriend and the girlfriend, marriage, the teachers, bosses, relationships with friends, coworkers. I mean, all those types of things that they're kind of growing up, those, we've tend to forget how important those type of things are, because more than most likely, those are the skills that they're going to need to get by and be successful later on than the 2 + 2 = 4, which I'm not saying we don't need to,
Right.
not concentrate on that, but there's so much more life skills that we tend to forget about, and don't tend to, teach these kids how to, change a tire, how to change their oil, do some of the hands-on things that we were taught as kids or whatever. I love that you guys are kind of keeping that there and giving these kids a whole nother thing to think about, because after school, there's life,
Yes, and it's coming. And when it gets
Right.
here, it'll slap the snot out of you. Right.
Really quick, you know what
It
I
will.
mean?
So,
And it's like, you don't want to be a burden upon your parents too long either. So, there's a point in time where you got to say, all right, I can't be going out with my friends and partying and doing all this. I got to go make something for myself, because I know I reached that point pretty early, where I realized, hey man, I'm tired of asking my mom for money when I'm a little short or this or that or
right.
the other. So I get, go to the yellow books, and here I am swearing in, because I just want to go make my own money and make my own life, right?
Yep. And that's, I hope that's what we do for these kids on a daily basis. We work real hard at it. And again, it's real enjoyable. The past 5 years, I've been wanting to build the official Marine Corps obstacle course on our campus.
Oh
And our
yeah, nice
campus
little course.
our campus is actually on an island. It's sickening. It's amazing campus. It's on a little island. We're
Wow.
literally about a mile and a half from the beach, from Venice Beach in Florida. Southwest coast of Florida. It's beautiful. The school is actually right on the intercoastal, so I see boats and yachts and all kinds of beautiful stuff going by when we're outside PT, and it's a great place. So, I guess I digress a little bit there, but what my point is that I want these kids to realize that college isn't for everybody. And if you have a skill set and you're passionate about it, you can go out and make a great living. We just had a guy from a trade school come in and talk to him about this. And I went to one of my little girls. She's a rock star. She is tough as a boot. She's extremely artsy. But I was like, listen, folks, if you learn how to make decorative ornament hurricane shutters for houses, maybe you don't weld, but you can design them. You can be the decorative person. The women are going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to work with you. And if you work for the metal bending and the welding company, you could sell and sell and sell so much, because it's a male dominated market with the welding and stuff. And just to get into that, and she's interested in it. So there's so many different avenues, that or HVAC or something that the kids can get into, that they can make an amazing living. And they don't have to go to school and come out with a ton of debt. And that's something that we work really hard on. All of my seniors that are leaving, we start early because I want to see how much you're putting in school loans before you leave here. Every year.
Our society tends to put pressure on a lot of different issues, like getting married, having kids, getting a job, going to school. You know what I mean? And not everybody is built to be that way. Some of us are. Some of us can go to school and we're going to get straight A's. Some of us go to school and we're just sitting there and and it doesn't mean you're not a creative person. It doesn't mean that you're non-valuable. It's just that your mind is not set on that biology class, that chem class. Your mind is more in some other fashion, and it doesn't make anybody less. But I think our society tends to put a lot of pressure, like you need to get your education, PhD, bachelor's, and I think a lot of that is all driven by a little bit of the money thing and things like that. But there's a whole other world out there, and a large portion of people do not go to college.
Yeah,
I want to say that probably more than less. I mean, don't.
I wasn't ready. That's why I knew I had to go to the Marine Corps.
Yep.
I mean,
me too.
I wasn't disciplined enough, and
nope. I was partying too much. I knew, hey, going into college where now you don't have to go to class, so to speak. I'm like, well, that's going to be rough, because when I had to go to class, I wasn't going to class. So
right. Yeah. College is a business, and they don't give a crap. Hey, you won't show up, they don't care. They're getting paid either way. So yeah, that's true.
Now let me ask you, now do you guys keep records of, people that gone through your guys' thing, and if they've graduated, hey, you owe me a graduation picture so I can put this up on this poster board, and then you start building up your Marines, Air Force, because I'm sure some of them aren't going to all go Marines, even though it is a Marine style.
No, actually,
or do they typically do?
That's a great idea, and I don't have that right now. We do obviously I keep in touch with them, but I don't have that board. And
man, you need that, man. That's like, that is such, to me, beyond. It's rewarding enough for you guys to teach these kids things, but to for them to come back and say, hey, here's my graduation picture, and you're like, dang, you looking good in that, uniform. Why don't you come and talk to the kids, and then you can start having some of them come back and talk to your graduates, and say, hey, look at this guy. He was in here not too long ago. Look at him now.
Yeah,
or
I'm
her,
I'm thinking about one of my best cadets right now, Dante Schwarzkopf. This man would do anything for me. He was always on time. He was a fire and forget dude.
You got to bring him back.
He was heavy set. He wasn't quite ready. Oh,
nice. Yeah.
And you know what? He lost weight, and he's enlisted. He just sent me a picture of him in his uniform, and I couldn't be more proud of the man. Really good stuff. Makes you emotional talking about it, because I really, really, really love that kid, and he'll always be a part of my life. I know it because he reaches out to me pretty regular, and but you're right.
You're probably a huge impact. You're a huge impact to these kids too, probably, whether you believe it or not, man. I mean, anytime you're in a position of being a coach, being a leader, being an advocate, you're going to leave an everlasting impression. And they're going to look back and say, you know what, Mr. Krom, he got me going in the right direction. And he taught me some things that I didn't know, So, I mean, man, you gotta somewhat pat yourself on the back too, and realize, and it's a hard job, man. I mean, I have 6 kids between me and my wife. We got 6 kids, so I know, and they're all different stages. I got a daughter who's in college. I got a little 6-year-old, so I know that kids are rough and stuff like that. So for you to have informed these kids and make an impact, man, you gotta realize you're doing something huge for our future.
I love it. It's not for everybody, but hey, as long as I'm still enjoying it, I really feel like I'm giving back to the kids. I'm going to stay on it. I got a great administration. My principal and my assistant principals, everybody's super supportive of us, which isn't always the case in some of these schools. So I'm very blessed to have that. I had to go out and single-handedly raise the $100,000 it's going to cost us to build this obstacle course. And it's been a long process, but once we get it up,
car washes, man, start getting them car washes and stuff.
Yeah. I'm done with the fundraising, buddy. Fundraising's hard.
It is rough, man. And you got to dedicate a lot of your time.
Yeah. That's my vision, is that, hey, I will have this obstacle course, and I'm going to turn it into the Indian Tough Mudder. All right.
Now, do you guys get any kind of funding from the VA or, any kind of governmental supplement, to
Well,
help,
that's it.
because you guys are
Yeah.
really honestly doing a good service. I mean,
Yeah, but you know the story of the Marine Corps, do
yeah,
more with less. So there's not a whole
sure,
lot of funding available. Yes, we get a little bit of money from the Marine Corps, but it's not near enough. And
right.
and it's really difficult. Some schools are really good at it because they can plan a year out. Well, you
And
gotta
knowing
fill
the,
out a lot of paperwork to get a bus on time and to do this and that. So we fundraise and we pay for everything ourselves. It's just the
yeah.
easiest way for us.
Well, knowing the Marine Corps, they would want a little more bang for their buck. Like, well, out of your 10 kids, I need 8 of them signing up or something. Some kind of a turnaround. So yeah, I could
Yeah.
see where that would be a problem. But man, I mean, I know it's hard to raise money and for anything. So,
Well, if
but
this obstacle course works like I planned, it's we're going to try to do an annual event and turn it into, like I said, a Tough Mudder or some type of
yeah, that's great.
Spartan race or something. Make some obstacles around town, invite everybody in, turn it in, have a band out there and some food trucks, and start with the obstacle course and finish with the obstacle course. And we got water all around us and retention ponds, and so we should be able to do a pretty big thing. And hopefully that'll be my annual fundraiser for the year, that I can raise my operating budget in one shot. So I'm not nickel and diamond families anymore. I'm not working the kids on raising money, where we can be in the community doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. Like we just had Hurricane Ian come through and tear up our coast pretty bad.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of mobile homes, 55 and over communities right on the water. And this storm thrashed us. It was intense, 100-mile-an-hour winds for hours and hours and hours. So it blew apart these trailer parks and even the homes. Well, a lot of these mobile homes have a lot of styrofoam and tin and all kinds of light metal in it. It's all over in our rivers and our water systems here. We live right on this river called the Myakka River. It's full of alligators. It's full of manatees. It's full of dolphins and sharks. It's amazing. It is, and it looks like the Nile River. It's like got old oak trees hanging over and moss hanging down, and it's cool. But I took 30 kids and 4 boats, and we went out and picked up more styrofoam than you could put. I mean, I think the number at the end of the day with Sarasota Bay Watch is who we joined. 6 school bus loads of styrofoam from floor to ceiling.
Wow.
And we didn't even touch it. There's aerial footage of it now. I have a student that flies a drone, and I had him fly over our area. There's so much more out there. And that's the kind of stuff I want the kids doing, not the fundraising. I want you to get out there. I want you to go meet a veteran and interview a veteran and read a book to a veteran. Help the Habitat for Humanity. Let's
Community.
get out.
It's all helping out the community, man. That's really
let's
great.
get in there and help the people that really need it.
That's
and
absolutely great. Yep.
Not the fundraising. So, I'm blessed again for that. I got my principals on board and lets us do whatever we need to do. So
that's outstanding.
Yeah. Yep. Lucky guy. So, now we're hoping to get that built this summer, and then we'll start on our plans for a big grand opening and start making some money, and we'll see what it does. But
now, do you guys work with the local recruiters and stuff like that, and have them come in and talk every here and there once in a while? I mean, just
for sure. Again, with the program, I'm not going to try to recruit you, but I am going to teach you what they have to offer.
Right.
So we bring them all in. I mean,
because you don't want to turn them off either, right?
No,
I mean, because I got turned off by the Army really quick in high school because he was super persistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like, bro, I'm hanging out with my friends, man. Chill.
Exactly. And I tell the kids all the time, please don't judge the service by the recruiter, because you never know who you're going to have. But we bring them all in, and Coast Guard included, Air Force. Hey, we even had the Space Force in, believe it or not.
That's outstanding.
Unbelievable. I guess they have a JROTC program too, where they call them Space Cadets. Unbelievable. But
wow, I still haven't really got myself too educated on the whole Space Force, but man, it is interesting when I start hearing people talking about it.
Yeah, they have some pretty high standards, so it's pretty cool to get in. You definitely can't be on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to ASVAB and some scores. They definitely want the sharp ones. So it's good.
My one of my cousins, like he's like my third cousin, I think now, but he was in the Air Force, and now they made him basically go into the Space Force because of his job. So I don't think he had much of a choice, but he'll end up retiring from there. I guess he really likes it.
Yeah,
and good. I guess it is very hush hush on that side.
Yeah,
but that's super cool.
So, what else was I going to tell you? I wanted. This time of year we're getting ready for graduation, and like I said, I have 14 seniors in different stages of the program. Some of them came in and they've only been with us 1 year, and out of those 14, I have 5 that are going into the Marine Corps. One of them's going to Texas A&M. She got a full ride ROTC scholarship, so that's awesome.
Oh, wow.
I have one that's going to the Citadel and wants to be a Marine officer. I've got 4 that are going into the Army. One wants to be an officer. Then we've got multiple that are just, going off to college. I've got some super, super intelligent guys. One he's a national merit scholar, so he's got super high SAT scores, and he's a musician. He loves the piano, but he's going off to college. I've got some other really good ones that are going to the local college here. So I've got 2 that are just going to the workforce. So it's fun. It's fun to see them. You take them through for 4 years and see what they're going to end up doing, and it's always impressive because they're going out and doing well. I mean, I've got a student that's graduating from the Coast Guard Academy right now, and she's a genius and she's a great leader. She's going to do amazing things. Catherine Gower is a rock star, and we knew it the moment we started working with her. So it's nice to be able to put your fingerprint, your thumbprint on some of these kids. It might not be their leadership style, but you've imprinted something on them. All right. And hopefully it's all good, and that, hey, we're servant leadership is it. That's what we're here for.
You really need one of those boards, man, because what you're just saying right now, that's inspiring. Imagine being a kid that's in this program, and that's what you aspire, and you see a picture of all these people who came before them, and now they're like, that's going to be me. I want my picture on that board.
That's very true. And I've had some kids go through some hardship.
Man. I mean, there's some great stories out there. I imagine, from kids that they come from rags and work their ways into something and want to make themselves into something and don't want to be a generational problem, right? I mean, some of us can try to stop what's going on from generation to generation, and some of us can go right down the same path. But
I see a couple climbing out of that right now, or trying to. So
that's great. That's great. And it sounds like you guys are giving them a little bit of a space to give themselves an opportunity to flourish and be somebody. So that's great, man. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you got for us, man?
Yeah. So, we talked briefly on the monies associated with this, and I speak for all of the Marine Corps JROTCs, all the JROTCs across the country, wherever you're at. If there is a program in your vicinity, they have a need. I promise you, they have a need. Whether it's volunteer drivers or donations, we have plenty of kids in our program that can't afford to do some of the things that we do. In order to have a successful program, it is directly correlated to the amount of money you have. And I hate to say, that sounds terrible, but it's the truth. You got to keep the kids active. You got to have them involved. You got to have them doing things. Otherwise, they're doing what they want to do on the weekends.
Right.
And sometimes that's not what they should be doing. So money is very, very helpful. So anybody that wants to get out there and contribute, please reach out to the school, reach out to the JROTC program and see what you can do to help them. They'll tell you exactly what they need. And I love it. I love to see parents come out and contribute. We get others that, hey, they don't even have kids in JROTC. They want to contribute. And of course, there's processes that they got to go through to get checked out. But It's very, very valuable. So, anybody that's listening that has a little fire in their belly to help out and give back and support a program like this, that definitely has a need, please check with your local schools and see what they have, what programs they have, and support them the best you can. Because I know I would love to have. We have got a great community, very supportive here, but the more help, the merrier. So,
and you know what? The ROTC programs are they're there to mold the future. They're there to build leaders and stuff like that. So supporting that it would be a lot more investment of your money, because you're going to be basically investing in the future. These
yes,
kids are going to grow up and be someone, and you don't want them not to have those opportunities because there's a lack of money or things like that. So hopefully some way or another you guys can get the funds, get some kind of scholarships out there for some of these kids that need it, and they can start appropriating these funds to a program that's actually going to build something and get something out of it,
Yes.
than some of these other little courses and things that they got going that people put a lot of money into,
Yeah.
and cheerleading or whatever. And then, like,
Animals,
just,
telling you.
they're
Well,
not going to,
animals and shelters.
some of these aren't going to be jobs later on, but they put a lot of money into the programs.
Yeah.
But your guys' program is building leaders. These guys are all, most of them are in there, and they're want to wear a uniform. They want to do better. There's because it's a commitment to be in any of those kind of things. It's a commitment to go in and swear in and be in the military in general. So.
Yeah.
And kids don't like rules, man. They don't like rules. They don't like to be disciplined. So for you to have a bunch of kids that come in, 20 kids that come in and say, hey, I'm here to be disciplined, I'm here to learn, and that's great, man.
Yeah, it is. It's very rewarding. I mean, I see kids come in with hair down beyond their shoulders, and then the next day we're like, hey boss, that ain't gonna cut it. You're gonna have to get in here with a haircut, and it's got to be 0 to 3, right? It's got to be a skin fade, buddy. And you know what, I've seen it happen. Just last year we had a kid come in and had hair like Jesus himself, and next day it was gone, skin, and he was a little heavy. But you know what, in 1 year, year and a few months, the young man has lost 70 pounds, went from a 14-minute mile runner to a 7-minute mile runner, and he's still going down.
That's amazing.
Hey, I'm not saying it was all us, but I am saying that we
pushed
put it
him.
in his head. We put it in his head, and we believe in him. And we told him, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, he's scooting him along, man. I mean, hey,
appreciate you, brother.
Everything you do, it's just a little, scooting them along. But
it is. Yep.
You're at least pushing them in a direction that's in a positive direction. And it could be fruitful for them. There can be something at the end, and they can look at and say, man, I'm glad he pushed me. I'm glad he really, disciplined me and told me the things I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation, but sometimes you got to have it. They got to hear it straight. And there's nobody better to do that than Marines. We're pretty brutally honest. And that's the hard part of joining this world, is that academia is a difficult place to be because not everybody sees eye to eye with us. Sure. But we're genuine. We're good people. We're honest. We're hardworking. And my whole teaching staff is on board with us, for the most part, and they're very supportive. So it's a good place to work. It's a lot of work. We're working every weekend. It seems like I try to shut them down to try to do 2, maybe 3 weekends a month, because again, like I said, you got to have a busy program to be successful. And
sure.
We do that air rifle, and we get out and we do this orienteering, which is just basically running through the woods with a map and a compass. Okay. There is no better skill, in my opinion, than you having to find a point out in the woods that's an orange and white triangle and you have to use the terrain, an azimuth, a pace count. You got to find it. And you got to find 14 of those points and do it as fast as you possibly can and get back to the start, because it's a race. And the kids get out there and they're going to get lost, and that's going to happen.
You're going to find out which ones are the officers. There's always the jokes that the officers get us lost, man.
Yeah. That's the, something we do on the weekends. It's another life skill.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I love to hear this. This is like good stuff. And I think a lot of kids should be, put into this. I know it's not for everybody, just like education's not for everybody. Military's not for everybody. Yep. That lifestyle is not for everybody. But, at least you guys are making another avenue for people that if they do want to go down that path, they don't have to sit there and go worry about, pulling out those, 1,500 SAT scores or whatever the heck the scores are and stuff like that.
I know,
so
right?
The stresses that you got to get, to go to college. So I'm happy to hear it, man. I'm glad that you're, like you said, it's not for everybody. And same thing being a Marine, it's not for everybody. So, but there, someone's got to do it. Yeah. And I'm glad you are dedicated to it, man. It sounds like you're committed, and you're building some great relationships and some strong leaders.
Like I tell them, the Marine Corps is so unique in that you can be anywhere in the world, and if you need help, you need something, if you see a Marine Corps flag, whether it's a sticker on a car, or a flag in somebody's yard, or a T-shirt, if that person is a Marine, they're helping you. It doesn't matter. You can go. It could be in the, down in the pits of the NASCAR race, and somebody's got their flag up. You're going to go in there and drink beer with them, and probably eat their food, and you're going to have a good laugh. And that's what the Marine Corps offers outside of just what you do when you serve. It's for life. It's for life. Yep. It is the best organization. If you want to, or
some call it a cult, you know what I mean?
it's
but it is a brother and a sisterhood like no other. And I mean, the veteran community in whole is big, but when you talk about Marines in general, like, dude, I didn't know you at all, but when we got on the phone, we start talking, it's like, boom, we're right in the conversation. No problem. I mean, we could sit there and jaw jack, no issues. Marines and in general, we just have that camaraderie, because a lot of we've been through the same thing, and
shared hardship creates a bond.
We know the suck,
Yeah.
And we know what it's like to pull out of the suck, and and when you feel like your body can't do it anymore, you can still do it though. You know what I mean? I learned that. So when you were saying that earlier about your kids, and they're like, they stop at that point when they think they can't do it, because it's like, oh, it's getting too hard. But if they just give it that little 10 more seconds, they actually can do it and they accomplish it. It's pushing yourself past that point of that kind of scary point of like, oh my gosh, it feels like it's going to hurt so bad. But you realize you're like, wait a second, I can do this.
Yeah. And I had to relearn it all over again. And I'm very blessed again for this, as I have a good friend that I met when I started working at Venice High. He played Division I football for University of Florida, went on and played in the NFL a little bit and got hurt, and unfortunately didn't continue. His brother played in the NFL, threw a touchdown pass, is now out of the NFL, living the great life. Anyhow, this man works with me, and he's a beast of a man. He's 6'4", and anywhere from 260 down to, he's probably down at 230 now. But he's my workout partner, and the guy is 30 years old, and he has got the discipline of a David Goggins. I'm not kidding. He doesn't miss. He doesn't make excuses, and he holds my feet to the fire, and I hold his feet to the fire. So, I'm turning 50 this year, and I'll probably be in the best shape of my life because of him, and so it's great to have a relationship with somebody that young. And it keeps me going, it keeps me working hard. every day, and hopefully I contribute to him too. And that helps our program as well, because
there's a lot to learn from the two different generations, man. I mean, you know what I mean? There's so much to learn from the older generation. There's a lot to learn from the younger ones too. So it is a good combo that you guys got.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yep, we've got a very, 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 very good football team here. So we work a little bit with the football team, which is nice to try to get us, kind of we'll never be on the same playing field as football, but hey, as long as we're coming up, that's all that matters. Football's king here. Football's king. That's good. We do a lot for them. It's awesome. We got kids that go out and shoot a cannon for them every game, every touchdown. We got smoke grenades. We run smoke out for them. We run flags. We do colors. Hey, it's a lot of cool stuff that makes the high school experience just that, an experience, and a lot of learning and a lot of fun, So
it's definitely memories they'll be able to talk about for years to come, man.
Yeah, that's what I want them. Something that you're proud of it,
You're leaving an imprint on them, I mean, those are memorable moments.
Yeah, it's
good
that's
stuff, great.
So.
Yeah, man. Well, hey,
I do appreciate you sharing and listening and getting me to talk about this stuff. This is definitely not my strong suit. Definitely not my strong suit, getting out there and Aaron talking about the program and getting us in the news and stuff. But this is awesome. I appreciate what you do, getting people talking and understanding that there are a lot of people that are struggling. If you need help, all you got to do is ask, man, because there's plenty of people like me and you, anybody out there that will help, that can help, and I mean that. So if there's ever anything we can do, let us know. I know we're worlds apart, but hey, it's only a plane ride.
Hey, I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time, man, and sharing your experience. I know it's not the most comfortable thing to do. It's taken me a while myself, but I think what Marines can do is we can run our mouth once we start running it. So
yes, sir. Yes,
that's
sir,
another thing. But once again, man, I appreciate you. If you could just hold tight, we'll give you the appreciate you, man. And
thank you, and we'll be in touch soon.
Absolutely, brother.
All right. Cheers.
Man. All right, friends and fam, that wraps up another great episode, a great interview. He is a great person, man. He's doing great things for this country, still out there molding and shaping our youth and helping them develop into great leaders. So, hey, I once again want to thank each and every one of you guys for taking the time to watch the show, subscribe, like, all those great things. I hope you're having a great day and kicking its ass and not letting it kick yours. Until next time.